Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here this evening with our new friend Ricky and Settle Your Scores. Thank you so much for talking with us tonight and also getting amped up for your new LP that's out tomorrow.
Yes. Thanks for having me. Very excited. If you don't know me, I'm Ricky. I play in a rock group called Settle Your Scores. I play guitar and do some vocals, and I do most of the songwriting. So if you have any questions about songwriting, now's your chance to ask.
How does one write a song?
You just make shit up, man. It's that simple.
There we go. That's it, guys. That's actually the secret behind songwriting for everybody. Good luck. Go forward.
Is noises. I have a funny story to start this off with that I didn't realize. So I am in a 90s / early 2000s cover band of relatively okay quality. And we often are looking at like, oh, can we do like a punk goes pop type cover of like a pop song or like introduce like other stuff in there. And so there we were looking at our set list, and somebody's like, yeah, let's do Unwritten, and then parentheses, Settle Your Scores. And I'm like,
nice.
That's literally who I'm talking to. Like, so I'm going to be learning your specific cover of Unwritten.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really special because we don't even know how to play it. I don't think we've ever played that one live.
Really?
So yeah, we kind of messed around with it in the studio and recorded it, released it. And I mean, we've played through it a few times at practice, but never performed it. So you guys will be debuting that version of Unwritten. So that's pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Hope I can see a video or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna like, now I'm gonna have to record it, right? Like,
yeah, you got to.
Or I'm just like, oh, like we've looked up like Patent Pending is another band that we've taken covers from. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah, like they'll never know we do this. And it's like, well, now I'm sitting, across a video call from you. I feel like I have to mention and like,
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm interested in what just so I know and I can tell my band, what was your like reason for picking that song? Like, what was it for? Like, is there any background to that, or was it just for fun?
Just because the song's awesome. I mean, it's a great song. We've done a few covers in the past, and we always try to pick covers that we feel we can do a good, like something cool with. It's never like, well, I shouldn't say never. Some of our covers have maybe been like we did Closer years ago, and that was more of like, what's a popular song that we can take and do something cool with. But I think the best final product comes from when you just, which song can I take something with and make something really cool out of it. So, I mean, obviously that song is, like 20 years old or something. It's not super relevant.
Oh, geez.
But
yeah.
Oh, geez.
Probably is, though, yeah.
It was chosen for purely artistic reasons. So that's, I think it's our best cover. I really like it. And yeah, I just kind of had an idea for, like, I've always loved that song, and I was just listening to it, and I was thinking, like, this would sound really sweet with, like, just kind of like a drum and bass, intro, and then like a little slidey, like Story So Far kind of riff. And that's kind of where it started. We just sat down together. I think it was me, Jeff, and Caleb. Just kind of knocked it out, and it was super fun. We just, like, as it went on, we just added more and more. Like, we would reference the original song and realize how many vocals were in there. Like, especially the pre-chorus is insane. There's like 50 layers of vocals. So like, well, that part's super cool. We can't like take it out. So let's throw that in. So we ended up, there was just like 20 layers of me and Christian just singing oohs and ahs, but I think it turned out pretty cool. I'm really happy with it. So yeah.
People really underestimate the power and how many people are involved in like big pop songs like that, and they're like, it's just like a cheesy little pop song, verse chorus, whatever. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and songwriting end, we can bring this back to songwriting. Is like, yeah, there's somebody who's really talented on the other end making that song to make it sound like there's nothing to it, but there's so much like in it.
At least one person. Usually, like you look at those pop songs, there's like 40 ghostwriters, so it's a huge collaboration. A lot of really talented minds at work creating sometimes really generic, shitty songs, but they make way more money than anything I've done. So who am I to judge?
True.
It's like the ultimate like group work environment. Like if you do one of those, you can always like brag to people like, hey, guess what? I can work with so many people at the same time and produce an amazing song that everybody loves, which is any Natasha Bedingfield song. I feel.
The weirdest resume builder. Yeah. Like I can work well in groups to create a product that earns money on the radio charts. Throw it on my LinkedIn. Well, you are here to talk about your music, so we'll move from Natasha Bedingfield. All right, we can talk about more Natasha Bedingfield songs if you want to. I don't know any other Natasha Bedingfield songs, so
honestly, Pocket Full of Sunshine.
Yeah, she's got some hits, and I don't think people appreciate her enough because I was kind of the same way. I was like unwritten, kind of a one-hit wonder, and then we started like looking her up as we were working on the song, and we just kept on like being like, oh damn, she did that song too. So she's got some bangers. Yeah. Check her out.
Justice for Natasha.
Yeah.
Not a Black Widow reference.
Some deep cuts.
Well, let's talk about your music. So the LP comes out tomorrow, Retrofit. So everyone who's listening to this on Twitch right now that we're recording it, you got to get it at midnight, your time, your local time.
You should have already had it, but
can't believe it.
It should have been pre-order. I did see some people who pre-ordered the vinyl got it early, so they've been spinning the vinyl.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of people already have it. It seems like I don't want to say most, but a lot of the people that pre-ordered vinyl or CD have already gotten it as early as like we had people messaging us on like I think Monday or Tuesday saying they got it, which was cool. It was weird. It's like been more of a release week than a release day. So we've had that sort of stuff trickling in, some nice messages saying, just got the vinyl, love it. Got a few fire emojis, so that's always good.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think 3 is the number that you want. 4 is
fire
like
emojis.
gratuitous, and then if you only get 2, it's like, what's wrong with it?
That's actually that's the new Pitchfork rating system. Actually, it honestly should be.
3 fire emojis. That's what you want.
They left 4 fire emojis. That's a bot. Delete the comment. PM us for collab. No, I will not.
God, absolutely not.
So what should we expect from this LP? What is anybody who hasn't gotten the vinyl already, anybody who hasn't, who's waiting until midnight for that sense of like pre-internet age out front of the Best Buy, waiting for it. What can they expect when they get it in their hands or in their ears?
10 bangers, honestly.
Love it.
You want to expect a lot of nostalgia. It's very early 2000s pop punk. That was what we're going for. I think we got that across pretty well. What not to expect when expecting breakdowns. Just, it's like that's been the main complaint of the singles is, this is our first record where we are kind of pivoting away from what we did before, which if you're not familiar, it's like heavy pop punk, easy core, whatever you want to call it, 4 Year Strong type stuff, pop punk with breakdowns. So if you go into this album expecting a bunch of breakdowns and looking for them, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you go into it just wanting some good, fun, old school pop punk, I think you're going to love it.
What was kind of like the point where you guys wanted to kind of pivot away from the breakdowns? Because I know a lot of bands in the last like year and a half have kind of gotten away from it, or they're using minimal breakdowns. And that's usually like a cause for concern for certain fans, even though it's still good music, but people are like, where's my breakdown?
Much concern among the populations of the lack of breakdowns in the new record.
See, I don't know. I've kind of noticed that and the opposite at the same time. Like, I see a lot of heavier bands kind of getting softer and kind of removing some of the breakdowns. And then I also see a lot of pop punk bands kind of adding that stuff back in, which is interesting. And it's kind of funny that we chose to stop doing that. And then there's also this movement of people starting to do that kind of at a different time. But it was just, we wanted to do something else. We wanted to spread our wings. And I'm not here to say that we will never do breakdowns again or anything like that. I'm not, it's not that we don't ever want to play that kind of music again, but I've just never wanted to be a band that releases the same album over and over. Because the bands that do that, it's never like their seventh album that everyone loves. It's always like the first couple, and then it just kind of gets more and more stale. So yeah, we really just wanted to do something different. And I've always loved that old school pop punk. I grew up on that stuff, Blink, New Found Glory, all that shit. So this album is really like an homage to that. We weren't out trying to reinvent pop punk by any means. We just wanted, I kind of feel like I'm not alone in like missing a lot of that older sound. And I think there's a lot of great pop punk out now, but I think that for a lot of us, that was like the peak of the genre was the early 2000s. And so, yeah, I think that there's kind of a lack of that fun, like carefree, but still, sometimes some heavy lyrics in there. And so that's kind of what our band has always been, is trying to do something that we feel like isn't being done enough at the time. Like when we started the band, I was under the impression that there was only like 2 like easycore bands out there. I was like, yeah, well, just Four Year Strong and Chunk, they're like the only guys doing this. So like, we're going to be number 3. And then we like recorded a bunch of songs, got on the internet, and like, oh, there's actually like 1,000 other people also.
You're like, oh no, we're not.
Yeah. So we didn't even realize
didn't come in first.
There was this like small underground community of all these super talented people. We didn't know about that until after we had already started doing it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the world could use some old school right now. And it seems like some other people are kind of having the same idea. Like all these rappers turn pop punk artists with
Yes.
Travis Barker. I don't know. It's kind of funny. And then there will be like comments saying like, man, you guys are just hopping on the bandwagon. It's like, I wrote these songs 3 years ago, like before I knew about any of this shit. I don't know. It's just kind of funny that people think that we just came up with this album like 2 weeks ago just to like kind of
just like out of thin air.
MGK's coattails or something. It's like, no, we've been cooking it for a while. It just took a while to get done, but so I don't remember what the question was, but
that's a good answer to it.
It's a good answer. Well, we saw that like the last time you guys did release an LP was in 2018. So have you guys been working since like 2018, 2019 and then COVID, or was it kind of like during a quarantine type of album development?
Pretty much every album we've done has always taken way longer than anticipated. And so because of that, every album, by the time the album is out, we're already working on the next album. So like The Wilderness, our first record, was recorded in May of 2015, came out in January of 2016. It's like 8 months after it was already done. And then by the time that record came out, I was already writing some songs for Better Luck Tomorrow. That one came out in 2018. And then by the time that one came out, I think I had like maybe 3 or 4 of the songs from Retrofit done before Better Luck Tomorrow was out. So the vast majority of the album was written before anyone knew about COVID. I think maybe like 1 or 2 songs the last song written for the record was The Way Things Used to Be, and that was maybe the only one that was written during the pandemic. Some other songs we were like working on them and finishing them up during the pandemic, but yeah, this isn't not a quarantine album, but just there's always something that comes up, and
Yeah.
a lot of times for us it's the album art. We just have really bad luck with like flaky artists who push the deadline back farther and farther. Like, I don't know. And part of that's on us. We like finish the album and then we're like, all right, now let's do artwork. We should be, like next album, we need to do the artwork now before we even write a song. Because for some reason it always takes us like months and months. So that was part of the reason. The pandemic definitely was another factor that pushed back a lot of our plans. And also, like, we started working with Mutant League, so that kind of was another element that, that's an extra step that kind of pushes things back. So I don't know, it's kind of funny because the same thing happened with our last album, Better Luck Tomorrow. It came out a little later than we thought it was going to. So we're like, all right, this time we're going to start working right away. So like we thought we were ready to record like later that year, I think, or maybe 2019. We were like ready to go, but like a bunch of stuff happened, and I don't know. It's just we thought that we were going to be like ahead of the game and like get an album out like under the 2-year mark, like a year and a half later, and then it turned into over 3 years. So it didn't really go according to plan. But I think that the music and the album is better because of it. I think that if we would have recorded it when we wanted to, when we thought we were going to, it would have not been as good. So can't complain.
And it was noticing that like back in the day, it felt like, you do an album every couple of years, maybe like AFI, one of my favorite bands. I'm like, they did an album every 4 years. And then all of a sudden you're doing a tour, you're doing like probably multiple tours, probably multiple things, taking some time off, doing other projects or whatever. And you're like, yeah, we'll go back to the studio, we'll make another one, and then we'll throw it out there. So like now it feels like a lot of bands are moving more into that like EP space where they're like, I'll put out, just a few songs rather than that.
Yeah.
But if you're putting out 3 albums and it's like every couple of years, it's like, yeah, it's more like that early 2000s type thing, like we were saying too. But like, I think that when you do it like that, you have albums that sort of reflect a lot of time, and like you take a lot of time that you grew and you wrote new things and you had new influences, new ideas came to the table, maybe new people came up, and it's like, oh, we got these new people and we have all these new experiences. Let's write that music and put out all of that, rather than like an EP, which I feel is more like you're following the process of an artist. Like, I'm going to do this whole album and then I'm going to release a bunch of songs. You're seeing them like through the ages. And I think there's benefits to both. I think that sense of like, oh, their new album is coming out. There's a whole album. There's a bunch of new songs. We haven't heard anything from them new in a long time. Like that's still a really good feeling.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we kind of went back and forth on if we wanted to do an album or an EP or just a bunch of singles. And like our last album, Better Luck Tomorrow, was supposed to be an EP. Because, like an album is a really big project to take on. So it's tough making an album. And so we were like, let's just do an EP. It's going to be easier on us. We can get it out sooner. And then we started working with Sharp Tone, and they wanted us to do an album. So the album or the EP turned into a full length. And then this time around, it was really just, we kept on writing songs that we really liked. And it's like, this should be an album. They all were kind of the same style. Like they really captured that early 2000s vibe, and they just felt good together. So, but I agree. I feel like an album kind of feels more like an era of the band. It kind of defines like a chapter, in the band's journey. Whereas like an EP or a single, I think there's benefits to both, like you said. And the industry is definitely gravitating more towards short releases more frequently. So if you're trying to get your name out there and, you're trying to stay relevant, the thing to do is probably a single every few months or whatever. But I don't know. I'm kind of old school like that. I like albums. I like having like a big chunk of songs you can sink your teeth into. And I feel like it's like doing the small releases is kind of a double-edged sword, because you get that instant gratification of like, yeah, we're still relevant. People are still talking about us. But if you only put out a single or a couple songs, they might move on to the next person's single or couple songs a lot sooner than an album. So that's the, I think if you talk to marketing experts in the industry, they're going to advise you to do a bunch of singles. But I think an element that they're overlooking is that albums kind of like last in people's minds. Like we still have tons of people, they'll send us messages talking about how much they love The Wilderness that dropped 5 years ago. That's really cool. I don't think we would get as much of that if we had dropped a 4-song EP 6 years ago or whatever. So I think albums kind of stand the test of time a little better than those short releases. But at the end of the day, it's really just us kind of being stuck in the way things were. Like, I don't know, I just love albums, and like putting a big product together for people to enjoy. It's really satisfying.
I think it ends up being like a little different depending on the level of artist, right? Like, right. I remember hearing Billie Eilish songs and like a few Billie Eilish songs would come out at a time, and then she put out a record, and I'm like, well, these are most of those songs. There's just the songs, and now they're on a record with a bunch more interludes and small little bits. And now she's put out another record, which I still haven't listened to. Please don't yell at me. But I know I really need to listen to it. I'm sorry, everybody. But like, that is an artist who started doing it to sort of get her name out there. And then once her name was out there, she's like, cool, I'm going to create a record now. Whereas like a band like Bring Me the Horizon did an EP last year. I think they're doing another EP. It's kind of up in the air. I haven't been on their YouTube to find out recently, but them doing an EP, and Ollie's kind of said like, yeah, I don't think that there will be a full record of Bring Me the Horizon stuff. I think there will be more singles, more music videos, more smaller things, smaller collections, put those out. But then I think, well, am I going to say, oh, I can't wait to go and check out Bring Me the Horizon's, survival horror EP because they just released that. It's like, no, I'm probably going to go and be like, I hope they play songs from There Is a Hell. And everyone's going to be like, why? And I'm going to be like, because I like that record. And then they're going to be like, but what about Sempiternal? And I'll be like, I like that one too. I'm a big fan. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's like the thing that people are going to always remember will be the album, and like the marketing side of it versus like getting those like hardcore fans that hold on to you forever. That's like the main difference, it seems, there. Yeah.
And you mentioned Bring Me. They're like one of my favorite bands. And I thought it was kind of funny because I saw the same thing where they said, we're going to move away from albums and start doing smaller releases. And then they released a 9-song EP, which, dude, that's an album. You just put out an album. You're just missing one song. But that's basically a full-length record. So I thought that was kind of funny that they said that and then immediately, did what they said they weren't going to do. But I love that EP, album, whatever it is. I thought it was awesome. And I think they kind of, I think the thing to do really seems to be like release a string of singles, then put them on the album. And it does kind of take away from like, you've already heard, like when that album EP, whatever it is, dropped, we already heard like over half of it.
Yeah.
So it's less to look forward to, but they're still kind of getting the best of both worlds because, you're getting all the buzz from the individual singles and videos, but then you're still getting like something with a little more substance that you can listen to. Like I still throw that on all the time. So, and that's kind of what we wanted to do with Retrofit, is like release a stream of singles and then do the album. It was it happened a little quicker than we originally planned, but it was, with all the delays and stuff, like the original plan was to just drop a single, no like album coming soon, just like, enjoy the song, and then maybe do the same thing 3 months later or whatever, and kind of start doing that until we are ready to announce the full album. But it kind of turned into just like a more of a traditional, like bunch of singles in a row and then the album. And that was really just how it worked out with the timing of everything. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's about the quality of the music rather than, the frequency of the releases, or at least I think that's what it should be. That's not necessarily what it is, but
yeah,
we don't live in a perfect music industry by any means.
Spotify feels different, YouTube feels different, but artists feel that way. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'll always love albums and EPs, but I don't know. It also, doing singles is, I think, a lot easier on the artist, because you don't have to, like, it's tough trying to make a cohesive album and make sure everything is kind of produced the same way, so it doesn't sound really weird when you're jumping from song to song and it sounds like they were recorded years apart on, completely different studios, things like that. So it's a lot easier to just focus on one song, make that one great, drop it. So I definitely, that does sound kind of appealing, and we might start doing stuff like that. Who knows? But Retrofit needed to be a full-length album, just because musically, that's, we were writing all this great stuff that worked really well together. I think it would have been a disservice to break it up. And like when we first started talking with Mutant League, they were kind of pushing us to do like a short EP. We recorded the album in like different chunks, so that we did 1999, Meant for Misery, and Staring at the Ceiling first. We recorded those 3, and then we were kind of sending them out to people, seeing what they thought. So Mutant League was like, we love these, let's drop a 3-song EP, let's do it. And we were like tempted, like we see the appeal of that, but we really feel like this needs to be a full length, because we got we got these 3 great songs. We're glad that you like them, but we also have like 9 other really great songs that are that need to be with them. And so we still have more songs we wanted to keep it short, because I like albums that are short and sweet, that don't overstay their welcome. So we made the decision to keep it at 10 songs. So there's some songs that didn't make the cut, and not even because they weren't as good, just because we chose the 10 that we felt like fit the best together as a record. So for people that really like the record, it's something to look forward to, because there's still more stuff to come that's of similar style and quality. And I'm really excited to put that stuff out too.
I think too, like, you have all these kind of like extra things. So if you say like, hey guys, this is it, it brings more people to the table, and maybe can convince some people who are like, but I want my easy core breakdowns back. And then it's like, no, we still have this. Just listen to more of this new stuff here for you.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up, so some of your music videos were shot by our unofficial friend of the pod that I have never met or talked to, Alex Zarek. So how was it?
We were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, but yeah, we literally are like, we were saying, Lizzie, that like we should talk to him on our final episode. Like that's the first time we should ever speak to him, and then we just never do another episode again. So we'll never talk to Alex.
Yeah, the grand finale.
I hope he listens.
Yeah, Alex is awesome. Great guy. He did our video that's coming out tomorrow, Broken Heart Scenario. That's a fun one. And then he did the Meant for Misery video. And then he's also helped us out with some of the like streaming videos and stuff like that. So we've been working closely with him. He's like a part of Mutant League, so that's kind of how we got hooked up with him, and he really impressed us. He really like exceeded our expectations, so we were super happy with what he gave us, and it was a lot of fun working with him. We had a little bit of beef though, because we're from Cincinnati. He's from Chicago, so he comes into town, and we start working on the stuff, start shooting, and then he's like, it was him and Brian was the other guy, 2-man crew, and they were hungry, so they asked if we had any suggestions. So it's Cincinnati, you got to try the Skyline Chili. That's like our classic signature dish. So we're like, yeah, man, have you had Skyline before? They're like, no. We're like, go try it. It's good. You'll like it. And they came back and they were pissed. They hated it so much.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were. So the whole like next, we did it was a 2-day shoot. The whole weekend they were just talking shit about Skyline. Like,
oh my God.
Just every other sentence out of their mouth was about how much Skyline sucks. And so, we had to fight fire with fire. So we would just constantly talk about how great it was, and, suggest it for like every meal, and just, so that's like our dynamic now. We have like a group chat that we're using to, discuss the shoots, and that's just turned into us sending like Skyline memes and just shit like that. So
you should like try to screenshot some of them and like tag Skyline Chili and be like, can you send us some Skyline Chili?
Yeah, like what goes into Skyline Chili? I've never had it either, so
yeah.
I don't know. It's a very highly guarded secret, but I think there's like some cinnamon, maybe some chocolate. It's definitely different from, like, most people think of chili. They think of a big old pot with like some beans and tomatoes, stuff like that. But it's like a meat sauce, and so you put it on spaghetti, you can put it on hot dogs, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty big,
chili
like
dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's really a thing, Lizzie. Sonic the Hedgehog ate chili dogs in the cartoon. Anyway, sorry. Don't need to.
It's a very love or hate thing. Like, most people in Cincinnati love it. It's like one of their favorite foods, and then most people not from Cincinnati seem to either think it's disgusting or love it. Like, my girlfriend's from New Jersey originally, and she moved to Ohio, and I introduced her to Skyline, and it's like her favorite food. She's obsessed with it. She's like dragging me to Skyline every couple of days. So I don't know. Like, some people love it, some people hate it, but that was the biggest takeaway from working with Alex. Those guys do not fuck with Skyline.
Video's fine. Guy fucked with our food though, so
like, can you believe him?
Would not
but
recommend.
Also, like, you're in like a different city, and if that's like their delicacy, like, I feel like you have to try it just to know, just so you can say you did it. Like, if you come to Chicago, you have to be like, I tried a Chicago hot dog, where you're like, oh, I got deep dish, and I don't care if you hate it or like it. I don't care, but you tried it, and that's what matters.
Yeah, we were just, and we didn't oversell it. We weren't like, this is the best thing ever, it's going to change your life. We were just like, you're in Cincinnati, you might as well try, like, what we're known for, because, like, you can get McDonald's or whatever, like, anywhere, but you're here, you might as well try Skyline. And they just like, there's a burning rage inside of them towards Skyline. So I don't know. I'm thinking about like sending them a care package of just like,
I think you should.
Skyline Chili
Absolutely.
and stuff. Or maybe like, if we do another video with them, we'll pay them in Skyline gift cards.
Oh my God.
God, catering. Like, just have it all on set and just be like, oh, hey, we got catering for every meal. It's like, oh, God.
You should make a TikTok video, like, if you guys have one, or your first TikTok video you do make, and it's just you making various Skyline Chili foods, and then you send it only to Alex. You're like, hey, do you like my production quality? Can you give me some feedback? And then he just has to watch.
Tag.
I don't know. I hope that, like, some circumstances lead to him, like, his only option as a career is to, like, make Skyline commercials. And he's just forced to film, like, Skyline cheese being poured on the chili all day. That's
oh my God.
That's what
Man,
I hope
stop
for
working
him.
with me now. I just shoot videos for restaurants that I hate.
I went public with my public distaste
Yeah.
of this one chili, and that was it. It was game over.
Canceled.
Cancel.
Out of
You'll
here.
never work in this town again. But no, it was really fun, great time. Both Alex and Brian are super cool guys, aside from the blatant disrespect of our culture. But it was cool. And
I feel like that's one of those things where we were talking about singles and all that. It's like the music video side of it, and like we'll we do a DJ set and we play music videos, and it's like, oh, let's play an album, and it has like 3 music videos from it, and it's like maybe we need more music videos like for more songs. Like we were talking about this the other day. Panic at the Disco is like Fever You Can't Sweat Out. It's like there's 3 music videos from that, and the band is only in one of them or 2 of them. Sorry, there are 4. There are 4 music videos from that. We'll just take this again. I want to prove myself to be a smart emo boy.
Oh my god!
There are
I'm
4 music
keeping it in
videos
when I
for
edit.
it. No, take it out. There's only 2 videos that actually have the band in it, but I think now, like, when people are releasing singles, they're putting out more music videos and they're making more videos overall because they're like, this is important now, as it never has been. More important now for YouTube and all that. And I'm wondering if you feel the same way about the videos and the album and all that, and like how that whole thing works together now, and that even though you may only be putting out a few singles ahead of time, it's the videos are important, or how do you feel about that?
yeah, music videos are huge. And unfortunately, it's like probably the element that we have struggled with the most. It's just we always just hit a wall when it comes to making the videos, and a big part of that is like budgetary restrictions. Like technology has gotten to a point where like you can make a really, really good sounding album for way less than 20 years ago or whatever, but music videos are still pretty expensive. They've gotten a lot more affordable, but like if you want props, effects, extras, all that stuff, like that really adds up. And I think that for a lot of smaller bands, it's really hard to create a great video without, getting really creative. That's like the challenge, is you have to think of ways to use your limited resources in a way to make something really cool. So that's always been like the struggle for us, is we have all these, like when it's time to make a video, we sit down and come up with all these crazy great ideas, and then it's like, all right, we can't afford to do any of that shit. What can we figure out that we can like reasonably pull off, So that was something that was awesome about working with Alex, is like he gave us something a lot better than what we thought we could get with our resources and our budget. He's good at making a lot out of a little, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's tough. That's one of the harder things for smaller bands, because it is important. Like you have to have that visual component. You want to have some stuff on YouTube so that audiences can like connect with not only what you sound like, but what you look like. I think that's a big part of image, and it's really hard because you can just hire somebody and go play in a warehouse. That's cool, but like everyone else has already done that. So are people going to watch that? Like, you just dropped $3,000 on that warehouse video, and no one's going to watch it more than once because it's not that interesting. That's kind of the struggle. Is like you want to create something that is going to be interesting enough for people to watch it and share it and rewatch it, and you got to do that with what you have. And unless you got rich parents, then I guess you can do whatever you want. But
Are you a fan of the Catatonic Youth's Instagram page?
Not familiar with that.
So the whole premise of
Unhinged.
it is that it's like they don't really give much context. They just pull clips from music videos, whether it's like big budget or whether it's just like random people on YouTube that like made a music video. and they kind of just take out like all of the most like cringy parts. A lot of it is like, remember all these bands that made music videos during the scene days, like 10 years ago. And like, clearly it's all in good fun. It's just like, yeah, these are shitty music videos. And like the people were doing the best with what they had and they were like influenced by whatever. But like the video is real cringy. It is fantastic. They have some of the greatest curated terrible songs on the internet, and I have them stuck in my head constantly.
I'm so sorry for you.
And it's like people who like can't sing. It's people who like can't scream. It's people who like just
Their
like,
lyrics are questionable nowadays.
Lyrics are
You're like, wait a
questionable.
second.
You're like, oh.
Apparently, that Theory of a Dead Man one, it got taken down because so many people reported it, and then they put it back up.
There's some real bad ones on there. It is legitimately one of the, I think, best like rock music meme pages on Instagram, like band memes and all that. But like, yeah, it's so good because the like thing of the warehouse videos is like there's a bunch of them on there. It's like let's find every warehouse music video and just post it. And like there's something endearing about it because it is, you know, baby's first music video. But also, like, if you've already done like one music video, you're like, well, we can't do that now. We've done one. We have to do something new because we already did something. And like, oh god, we don't have any other ideas.
I gotta check that out. That sounds funny.
It's so fucking funny.
It is. The many times that Brian has said, hey, did you see the Cantown Ukes Instagram story? I said no, and I go look, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? And then we get into like sometimes like kind of deep holes. I'm like, I can't find any information on this.
There's like a set of like Metro Station on there from Warped Tour, and like Trey Cyrus like can't hear his guitar, so he just flings it over his head and like chucks it away, and then like kind of is like screaming at the audience for Shake It, and like it doesn't sound that good, so like it's just so sad and hilarious.
Yeah, that dude, he's like the most aggressive person in a boy band ever. Like, all this rage, just like in the wrong genre. Like he should be, you know, in like a metalcore band, just like barking at the audience, but he's in the wrong genre. I saw part of their set at a Warped Tour, and he was just like so much animosity coming from him. Like the audience was clearly there to see them, to enjoy their music, but he was acting like confrontational. Like, if you're not here to, you know, fuck with us, then get the fuck out. Like, it's like, dude, calm down.
My
like,
god, he's here. Like, I want you to like fucking kill each other to Shake It right now. Is what I would anticipate him to come out of his mouth. I think you know, having Billy Ray Cyrus as your father might have like made him be like, I can't do that metal thing, but I can find that in between, that compromise. And it's like, no, please go over there. Please go over there and be yourself. Yeah.
I want to see a fucking circle pit. This next song is called Kelsey.
Jesus Christ.
He had another one. He was in another group called like Ashland Avenue or something like that, which I don't know. That's pretty derivative. Yeah. But it's real bad. And they put the video on that profile too. And it's fucking hysterical how bad it is. Like, man, you had money behind this. And, you know, sometimes you
just went with it.
Yeah. Sometimes the money doesn't help you. Sometimes having that rich parent that like invests in your music video doesn't make it any better. It just makes it hard worse. Yeah. way worse.
We can talk about, so you've been teasing your music video is coming out tomorrow, and it looks like one of those like emo parodies, because you got like the MCRTs and you have like the fake black hair. I hope maybe it's fake, otherwise you all dyed your hair black. I had a good time.
Natural. I went blonde for this podcast.
For your art.
That's really crazy. Just lined it up. What should we be expecting? Obviously, when this comes out on Monday, people are gonna already see it. But I'm interested to see, because I saw somebody comment saying like, Matt Cutchell, is that you?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a ridiculous, goofy video making fun of emo, like, you know, kind of making fun of ourselves. That song, Broken Heart Scenario, is basically, I just wanted to write kind of an old, like, mid-2000s emo song. I mean, most of the record is like an early 2000s pop punk, but I feel like that that emo scene that came out a little later is kind of wrapped up. You know, it's really the same, that alt scene, you know, for whatever reason, because honestly the music is pretty different. Like My Chemical Romance and Blink are two very different bands, but for some reason they have like kind of a joint fan base, if that makes sense. Which I kind of get, but I think it's cool. I think it's really like the same kids that love that old pop punk also love that old emo stuff, and so it just felt like, I don't know, I really wanted to throw like an emo song in there and something we've never done before. So it was a really fun song to write. But yeah, it's kind of like a Hawthorne Heights, Silverstein, Take It Back Sunday kind of song.
That was the energy I was getting. I was like, what is going on here?
It's a really cool song. And then like immediately we were like, we got to do like just a ridiculous over the top emo video for it. And so bought a bunch of wigs and like all the clothes. I just I raided my girlfriend's closet. She's like she's still an emo kid, but she's a former / current emo kid. And she just has like all these old, really small My Chem shirts. So damn near all the clothes that you see in that video are from my girlfriend's closet.
Love it.
And it turned out great. It was very like we didn't really try anything on until like, 20 minutes before we started shooting. And it was very like, we're just kind of winging it, and it turned out really well. Like I had never done eyeliner before, so that was interesting. Like it was harder than I thought it was just going to be, one and done.
So you put it on yourself. You didn't have anybody else try to put it on you.
We put it on ourselves, and that was a mistake.
Gotta learn.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. Some of the guys like Pat was, he was very like seen back in the day. He was, kind of looked like Andy Biersack or something. So he had a little bit more experience with the eyeliner and stuff. So his turned out pretty well, but for me, that was the first time, and, I should have practiced, but hopefully on camera, you can't see how poorly I did it.
It only makes it better, honestly.
Right.
Like
it makes it better. It's in the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I grew up in that era. Like I was in high school when, people first saw Pete Wentz and they were like, guys wearing eyeliner, that's my entire type. And I was, in high school and single, and I go, hey, what's up? And then just look at me.
Oh, no.
So I had to learn it just because that was what you did. I was like, I'm trying to get a girlfriend and I'm in high school. It didn't work.
You win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some, but at least they're like, hey, where's eyeliner? And I'm like, yeah, now I know how to do it if I ever need to do it again.
Yeah.
I will have to ask Brian, because I don't know how to put makeup on in general, but I get like really twitchy and I like think someone's going to like poke my eye out. So I'll like just start swatting at people. I'm like, no, don't touch me. I'm like the worst to put makeup on also. And so I can never wear eyeliner for that main reason, unless it's like a special occasion.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. Like I got a lot of respect now for anyone that wears eye makeup. Like props, a lot of women do this every day and I can't do it once. So it was very a humbling experience. I'm like shaking, poking my eye out. It was scary.
I always like want to itch my eye too. And then I'm like, go up there and I'm like, oh, can't do it. Can't touch it, or it's going to look shitty. Not going to, like sometimes a smudge, you're just like, yeah, raccoon eyes, and like I'm real dark, and you're just like look in the mirror and you go, oh god, oh boy.
Well, now it's back with like the wing, like the big wingtip eyeliner, but now you add a chain to it, so you put like makeup glue or whatever you put on your face that's not gonna stick, like Elmer's glue. Then you put a chain around it and you outline it, and then you have it like there. Like that's the new like e-boy e-girl trend.
Wow. I just feel so lazy about like my appearance. I just come out of bed. I'm like, this is all you get. I don't care what I look like.
That's fair.
This is just
like,
me.
Imagine in the last year that you had to learn how to do makeup to not go outside.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to learn to do eyeliner now. No one's going to see me. But then you're like, well, I'm on the internet, going to Zoom meetings, maybe I gotta.
That was the nice thing about the masks is like, from nose down, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you could stop shaving for 6 months and no one could tell.
Mhm.
And then, just no judgment. As long as you looked somewhat presentable, like your eyes and hair, you were good to go. And you could mutter anything under your breath. It was pretty sweet.
Talk shit about everybody at the grocery store.
Motherfucker, come on, move.
Do you
Like, are
really
you
need that many
kidding me?
cucumbers?
You're like, hey, why aren't you wearing your mask right? You're just like,
Talking to me about. Just talking about these cucumbers.
How many
Excuse
coupons does this bitch have? Come on.
Hey, what am I, on extreme couponers? What the fuck?
No, it was nice. You didn't have to fake laugh or smile at anyone for like a whole year. That was cool.
I have this like thing where I don't know if it's like a anxiety thing or what, but like I have to like be very nice to anybody who works in service industry. So if I'm like picking up food at a restaurant, like I'm extra nice because I understand that like as working in the service industry, you're paid very little for doing a very customer facing job and you deserve all the money that we can give you. And you deserve a minimum wage, a living wage. So if anybody listening, I'm on your team, I'm on your side.
Got you.
We got you. And I'm like, I got to be as nice as possible. Like my girlfriend's always like, you are just like ridiculously nice to them. I'm like, yeah, because I would hate to do that. And I would hate for them to hate me. Like, imagine if I'm just an asshole to them. So I usually am just like, really like, yeah, thanks. Hey. And I'm like smiling really big. And now with the mask on, I'm like, I hope they know I'm smiling under here.
I hope they can see it in my eyes. Well, if you're not either, you might be like the dude who got slapped with a dirty rag from a Starbucks employee. And I had a mutual friend I used to work at Starbucks with who are like, oh, I know who did that. And I said, you know what? That's all we ever wanted to do. Before COVID, that's all we ever wanted.
Just deserved.
You're like an AntiKaren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an Iraq. Be the official term. You've heard it here first.
There we go, guys.
Now I'm kind of the same way. I think that's something that I've noticed. Like, I don't mean to like generalize generations, but you rarely see like younger people being rude to service industry workers, which I think is a really good new like social norm that we're seeing. I mean, there's still going to be the asshole here and there, but I feel like being shitty to service industry workers is becoming a lot more taboo, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because some older people have no problem like laying into them, and I'm kind of the same way. Like, even if like they're doing horribly at their job, I'm still just like super polite and respectful because me yelling at you isn't gonna
do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
Good point.
You can usually just ask, but this is definitely anxiety. I never ask. I never, like, if something's wrong, I never say anything about it.
Yeah.
I was at a Potbelly and like I get this sandwich and they put like, it's sort of like a oil mixed with like basil, or it's like a basil like sauce sort of thing they put on it.
The olive oil vinegar?
No. It's like it's more of like a sauce. So they're like putting the sauce on, it's in like a squirt bottle, so they're like putting it on there and the lid falls off. And so my sandwich is now engulfed in this sauce. And
you are truly lost in the sauce.
Yeah. And you can see over, right? Like you see him making it and I'm just standing there and I like think I have my hands in my pockets and I'm just like, because I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it happen.
Yeah.
So he starts like scraping all of the sauce off of it. Some of it goes back in the bottle, but not all of it. And then like my sandwich is like clearly now sogged in this.
Sogged.
Yeah,
I don't like that word at all.
Soggy sandwich. And it just wraps it up and hands it to me. And it's like, here you go, man. I'm like, thank you. And I pay for it. And I never went back to that Potbelly again.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. Like that could have happened to me and somebody would have yelled and been really angry. And I'm like, nope, this is just, this is the fate today. This is what happened to me.
Yeah.
My number got pulled.
You get what you get.
Yeah. Get what you get. Get the wrong order at Starbucks. It's like, no, you asked for what you wanted, but that's what you get this instead.
They chose for you.
Yeah.
You're going to try something new. Maybe you'll like it better.
Yeah.
not,
There's some people who
finish
have been
it.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like I usually get when I go to Starbucks, because I don't usually like to go to Starbucks, I'll just get a ristretto affogato Americano. But they don't always do it upside
Any
down
of those
ristretto.
words. Or any of those
And
words.
I could taste the difference. And I'm like, I'm not going to complain about it because it's literally just espresso and water. But to me, it matters. I'm like, you know what? There's worse things out there. There are absolutely worse things
My day's
to
going to
be
get way
upset
harder
about.
than this. Well, before we wrap up with plugs and all that, I do want to mention one more thing is that you were featured on Alternative Press. We'll bring it back to music now instead of customer service, but also you're featured in Alternative Press, 10 next gen pop punk bands who will transport you back to the 2000s.
Which is quite a title.
Yeah, but it's literally like that early 2000s pop punk emo title by Fall Out Boy.
Oh my God.
Obviously, like, you know, people are taking notice that you're going back to that era and you're doing that thing. So, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty cool though. That, like, we've been joking that Alternative Press is a little bit like My Chem is coming back. We have all of our articles now. It's like, here are bands that sound like Fall Out Boy. Here are bands that sound like this band. But yeah, how did that come about? And like, how does it feel? I mean, obviously it feels good to be compared to those bands, I'm sure.
It sucked. No, yeah, that was awesome. And, but it was funny. I'm pretty sure that article came out like right before we put out 1999. So I don't know. It was just kind of funny for us that it was like perfectly timed. Like we get included as like, you know, bringing it back. It's like, oh, just you wait, like 2 more weeks, we're gonna be perfect fit for this. So it's cool that they kind of picked up on, because we've always had that influence, but it's just like way more obvious now. Like at least for me, like coming from a songwriting perspective, I've always drawn a lot of inspiration from those older bands, Blink, New Found Glory, and just kind of sprinkled in the heavier parts. But I think a lot of people tend to focus on the heaviness, and you know, we get compared a lot more to like For Your Strong, Chunk, Data Member, stuff like that, than we do the older bands, at least until, you know, this new album. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's cool that people are kind of picking up on that, you know, what we're doing now, we've always been doing it. It's just, you know, we're taking away some of the other elements and, you know, really honing those older influences. So that's kind of with this album, one of the main goals was to kind of like rein back the instrumentals a little bit and leave more room for the vocals to shine. It was really, we wanted to highlight the vocals, the hooks, the melodies in this album. So, you know, we weren't just trying to bum out the people that like the heavy stuff. That wasn't you know, we're not trying to hurt you. We just, you know, wanted to try some different stuff.
Songwriting.
So, yeah, it was sweet. Cool article. We've been shouted out a couple times by Alt Press, and that's been sweet. I haven't been keeping up on Alt Press as much as I used to, but it's always cool when they showcase some smaller bands. I feel like they've been getting better about that recently than they have been in the past. And also, I think Rock Sound has done some stuff with us, so that was really cool too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, those online magazines that have been like getting a lot of criticism the last like handful of years are really starting to kind of like pick up on like what the kids actually want now. And it's nice to kind of see that transition of it. And, you know, there's more people now seeing these like newer and like more underground bands and artists, rather than everybody just being like, I only know like 4 bands, and that's My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Paramore. It's like, oh no, I'm aware of like Settle Your Scores. I'm aware of Kenny Hoopla. I'm aware of all these other people now, and it's like, it's just refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, these publications, you know, they're going to have more insight into what sells than we do. So like I can I can sit here and complain about them, putting 10 articles about Water Park's new haircut or something. But like, they obviously know that that's going to be what gets people to click on the article. So, who am I to judge? Like, they don't owe our band anything. Like, it's always cool when they shout out smaller bands, but they're also, I understand it's their business and they got to do what's best for them, so people love to hear about Haley Williams, Brennan Urie. So, can't knock them for that, but
yeah, I know there's been a lot of debate about, like, we saw a tweet earlier about like MGK is playing on bigger stages than all of these other bands on a punk festival.
And they were like, this is poser punk. Like all these headliners are poser punk. And I'm like what? But
they're not doing this out of nothing. Like it's not like in a vacuum, or like, it's not a festival that says, yeah, our festival doesn't need to make money, so we're going to put a bunch of small bands on and like not sell as many tickets. Like it's this weird argument where you're like, I want you to continue doing this festival, but I want you to continue doing it my way. And I also don't want you to ever sell out and make any money, but I also want you to continue doing it. It's like, you really don't get it. It's like that Venn diagram. It's like, you don't get all three, you get two. Like, pick two things and you can have that.
I think that's pretty representative of like the industry as a whole is, everyone just, you like a band, you want them to keep making music, but then when they, try to do something to earn some money, we all scream sell out and try to, try to shame them for it. And it's like, well, if they, never make any money, then they can't afford to make music for you. So like, you gotta do both, honestly. And I think there's a balance. Like, obviously, you don't want to make every decision based off of what's going to make the most money. Like, the bands that I respect are the ones that seem like they're making like the creative choices, like it's coming from an artistic place, but at the same time, like, sell that merch, do whatever you got to do to pay your bills. Like, that's at the end of the day, like if everybody's, I don't know, I kind of worry about the music industry because I'm seeing more and more like there's all these bands that there's sort of a misconception where people think like, oh, this band, brings 500 people to a show. They're rich. They live in a mansion. It's like, no, that guy probably works at Starbucks in between tours. Like, a lot of your favorite bands that you think are huge, those guys probably have side jobs at least, maybe like full-time jobs. And, musicians aren't making the money that they used to. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried that we're reaching a point where, like, aside from the biggest, like, radio stars, everyone's going to be just trying to make music on their off days when they're doing a full-time job. And we're going to see a lot less, active musicians. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Go a lot of ways. We're at about an hour, so I want to make sure we have your plugs out there. Where can people find you? Where can people, if you're listening to this now, if you're here on Twitch, you can save the record. You can go pre-save it and listen to it when it comes out. If you're listening to this on Monday, you got to go to Spotify after we're done talking here. Then you can go listen on your app of choice. But where can they find everything?
Album comes out tomorrow, August 20th. And, it'll be available everywhere, Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. If you want a physical copy of it or any of the merch to go along with it, that's going to be at the Mutant League Records website. It should be mutantleague.com or mutantleaguerecords.com. I don't know, Google it, man. It's 2021. And then we got all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So feel free to reach out to us on there. Let us know what you think. We love hearing people's thoughts whenever we put out new music. So it's going to be exciting day tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks about the new stuff, the new direction.
Well, perfect. We will end the recording there. We will continue to hang out over on Twitch with the people who are lovely and watching us right now. But if you're listening to this, go listen to the record. A million streams, a million views, and a million comments. Leave a million comments about what you think of the record. Let them know. Settle your scores.
3 fire emojis.
3 fire emojis is the correct amount. 4 is you're a bot. 2 is that you hated it and you're an asshole.
Remember, guys, this is the new Pitchfork rating system, so we have to stick with the 3 fire emojis.
Must abide.
1 fire emoji if you want a DM for a collab. All right. Well, thank you, Ricky, for hanging out with us tonight. Settle Your Scores is the band. Go get it. Retrofit out now if you're listening to the recording.
Please. I need to feed my dog.
Please.